Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Confidence is Overrated. Today, I want to start with a quick question. Have you ever felt like you are stuck in your own head, thinking about wanting to do something, thinking about wanting to accomplish something in your life, but never actually doing it live? I have been caught out thinking about wanting to do so many things, but never actually going for them. Maybe it's just starting that project or starting that hobby or starting that business that you keep thinking about. Maybe it's posting something online, start sharing your ideas or start sharing content, start writing and actually publish those articles and share them with other people. Or maybe it's saying something, maybe it's having that hard conversation that you need to have with your family or with your friends or with your partner about something that needs to change or something that you need to get out of your chest. Or maybe it's changing something in your life. It's changing a habit. It's changing how you react. It's changing your patterns or your routines. Changing how you take care of yourself. Instead of doing it, you keep thinking about it. You keep researching. You keep planning for it. You keep replaying it in your mind over and over. And you continually keep waiting until the moment is right, until something happens, until you have more time or more money or more confidence, until you feel more ready. You keep waiting and procrastinating and overthinking it. You keep replaying in your mind. Days go by, weeks go by, and often years go by. And I tell you this because I used to be one of those persons who would write this long New Year resolutions list. And every year, like every December will arrive, and my list was still untouched. I still have all those goals of wanting to publish content online or wanting to start a YouTube channel, or wanting to start selling my services or talking or getting a relationship. I would always put like, I want to get into a long-term relationship and fall in love, or I want to travel more, or I want to start publishing online, or I want to start writing, and I start creating videos. And I have all these ideas and all the things that I wanted to do. And at the end of the year, they were still there, untouched. I had not even tried to go for any of that. I had not even tried to create the conditions for them. Because here's the truth. One of the biggest fear we often have when we have all these goals that we want to accomplish, right? And all these things that we want to try and experience is failing at them. And then you don't have any excuse because if you have not done it, if you have not tried, you can always say that you can still try later. That is something that might be successful in the future. But if you try and it doesn't work, you don't have an excuse anymore. So that fear of failing, of realizing that you are not good at that, or realizing that that dream will not become true, that's what keeps us stuck often. But I think the biggest fear we should all have, instead of failure, instead of not accomplishing the results that we want, the biggest fear that we should have is regret. Getting to the end of our life and saying, I wish I had tried. I wish I had gone for this. I wish I had taken a chance on myself. Because it might not have worked out perfectly like I wanted. It might not give you the results exactly like how you want them, but it will give you the experience of having tried, having gone for it, having done it, or at least say, I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I tried, even if it didn't result exactly like how I wanted it to go. So what I want us to talk today is this fear that we often don't talk about of getting to the end and saying, I wish I had done this. I wish I had tried. And how to avoid that starting now. So in today's episode, we are breaking the overthinking loop, that cycle of always thinking about all the things that we want to do, but instead of doing them, waiting until the perfect conditions or until a perfect moment arrives to do them. To show you how to move from hesitation, how to move from thinking and planning and researching to actually taking action and doing it and trying it. I want to start with this. Overthinking is not the problem. Overthinking is not a part of your personality and is not a part of who you are. Simply something you have gotten used to doing. It is simply your brain trying to protect you. Your brain is wired for safety, not for growth. It will always prefer anything that is certain over anything that is just a possibility or probability. It will always look for what is known, even if that's not good for you. Whenever something matters to you, and there is a risk involved in it, a risk of being embarrassed or judged, or a risk of failing, of not being good enough, of getting it wrong and everyone notices. Whenever that risk is involved, your brain steps in kind of like a bodyguard and says, okay, let's pause, let's think about this more. Let's plan and research and look for the perfect route to do this. And it actually feels productive. It actually feels like we're doing something. You're planning, you're researching, you're looking for the perfect way of doing something, you are practicing it in your mind. It feels productive. It feels like you are doing something. But most of the time, when you get caught on this process, on this stage of over preparing, over researching, overthinking, over planning it, it's just avoidance in disguise. We think that we are preparing for it. We think that we are getting better. We think we are making it perfect, right? But the truth is that we are just waiting for later, for a moment when this feels safe, even though it will never feel safe, because it's still something that will always be new to you. I remember I just ran my first marathon in this past December. Even though I have done long runs, I have been running for the past 3 months to the marathon. Just before the marathon, I was totally sure that I was not capable of doing that. I was not going to be capable of finishing it, that I was not ready. And it's because I had never run 26 miles. I had done long runs consistently. I had never run 26 miles before. It didn't matter how much I had prepared beforehand. It didn't matter how much I have run in the couple of months previous to the marathon. I still didn't feel like I could do it because I had never done that specific thing before. I had never run a marathon before. Whenever we are in new territory, it's normal for our brain to say, oh, this isn't so safe. We cannot do this. We are not prepared. Let's take more time to prepare. Take more time and let's do it next time. And it feels like it's smart, it's productive to do this. But often you're just avoiding it. You're just avoiding the action because it's scary to do new things. And at some point you have to say, I might not be prepared. This might not be completely how I want to. I might not be able to finish, but I still have to try it. I have still prepared as much as I can with the time frame I gave myself. I have done the work as much as possible, and I'm still going to try it. So at some point, you have to take your chances and go for it. I'm going to tell you something that I would have liked for someone to have told me before. Just because you are hesitating or you are waiting or you are procrastinating something that matters to you, that you keep saying that you want to do, but you keep postponing it for later, that doesn't mean that you are lazy. That doesn't mean that you are unmotivated. And that doesn't mean that you have no discipline. It has nothing to do with that. You are simply hesitating because the stakes feel high. Your identity, who you are, and who you want to become feels exposed, feel like there is still a gap in between both. And the outcome that you want to accomplish feels uncertain. You are not sure yet if you can accomplish that. Simply put, it means that that thing, that goal, that moment matters to you. And that's why hesitation often shows up. Because you want to avoid the feelings that will come out if you fail at it, if you realize that you really were not good enough at that. But we have to stop focusing so much on the outcome. And we have to start focusing more on the opportunities, on the possibilities, on the shots that we take. Instead of focusing only on the results that you get, can you start focusing on all the tries, that you take, all the attempts, all the shots that you shoot, that's honestly what builds more confidence, more motivation, more passion for life. That process is what builds your identity and makes you become that person that you want to become. To go back when hesitation shows up and you think, oh, it's because I'm lazy or I'm unmotivated or I'm not disciplined enough. Most people misinterpret that moment. They think, oh, I'm simply not ready. I'm simply not ready to run the marathon yet. Or I'm simply not ready to post the videos online yet. Or I'm simply not ready to start the YouTube channel or to write the book or to share my ideas online or to start the business or to start the relationship or to start dating again. I'm simply not ready yet. But often, hesitation really means is that this matters to you, that the outcome of this matters to you. And so you are scared of trying. That doesn't mean that you are not ready to try or that you should not try even if you are not ready. I think often we can get caught up on this weird space where we are still thinking, how do I know if I should go for something or not? If I don't feel ready, if I don't feel I will be good enough, if I don't feel prepared for it or like the conditions, the moments, right? If I am still hesitating about it and procrastinating and overthinking and over planning and saying, I will just do it next week or next month or next summer or next year, how do I know if I should do it now or just wait? Right. And I think that's a moment where we are dealing. Well, how do I know if I should just go for it? Or if my doubts, my hesitation is something real. I keep coming back to is simply this question of what would be worth doing in my life, even if I fail at it. Often, I think even with relationships, I was like, oh, I don't think these relationships will, like succeed. What would be worth doing, even if it fails? Because I think so many times we stop ourselves from experiencing things that we really want to experience just because we think that we are going to fail at it. That's why I think this question, what would be worth doing, even if I fail? I told you before how I used to do this New Year resolution list. And I will always but I want to get in a long-term relationship and fall in love. And that's not something I can control. There are some things that you cannot simply accomplish by yourself. There are other parts involved. There are elements of external things involved. But I can control the conditions to make that more probable. If I'm never going out or putting myself out there or going on dates, or trying to meet new people, how I'm going to get into a long-term relationship and fall in love with anyone if I'm not putting myself in those places? I remember at that moment I have this preconceived notion and this belief that nobody was looking for a long-term relationship, nobody was looking for commitment, nobody, like all the guys just wanted sex or just wanted to party. So it was very difficult to get into a long-term relationship or to find someone who was serious, someone who wanted to fall in love. And I think we don't realize how this belief that we have about what is possible or not, about what people are looking or not, about what is possible for us or not, stop us from even trying because I was believing that. I was not even giving people a chance. I was not giving even myself the chance to meet new people, or to go to places where I could meet new people, where I will open and create a profile in dating apps. But then I will not make anything to make that get into the real world. I will not put any effort because I believe that nobody was looking for a long-term relationship. So I didn't even really try. And when I started realizing that I will never be able to get to this goal if I at least don't take the chance of meeting people, of putting myself out there, of saying to people that I wanted a committed relationship, that I wanted a serious relationship, that I wanted to fall in love or love. If I don't put myself in those places and tell to people what I'm looking for and really try to show up for that, how is that ever going to happen? I might never happen, even if you do all the right things. But the probabilities, the possibilities of it happening increase the more you create the conditions for that to happen in your life, the more you put yourself out there and try to meet people who have shared hobbies or shared activities or shared belief, right? So you are someone who is active to go to fitness events and to go to run clubs and to go to places where that behavior, those activities, those are shared by other people. If you are someone who is very spiritual or religious, maybe your place is like spiritual events or church. But like if you don't allow yourself the possibility to meet new people, how is that? Even a possibility of that happening in your life. It's the same with starting a business. If you don't put yourself in a space of knowing other entrepreneurs and learning new skills and promoting your services and talking to people about what you do, what you offer, what your products are, how is anyone going to ever buy them? How is anyone ever going to know that you do that thing or that you offer those services or that you have those products to buy? You have to increase the possibilities of that happening in your life. And the only way of that happening, of creating the conditions for that loot surface to increase, is for you to be able to take the actions that align with the person you want to become, with that person who wants to be in a long-term relationship, with that person who wants to create a business and sell their services online or in a physical store. But you have to start taking the actions of that. That's why this question of what will be worth doing, even if you fail, is so important, because even if you don't get exactly the results that you wanted initially when you started, when you think about your life, right, and think about this for a moment, when you get to be 85, 90, 95 years old, and you start looking back at your life, or you look back at your life, what do you think you will be proud of having done? What do you think you will say, oh, I'm glad I did this? What do you think will be meaningful in your life? Even if it didn't go perfectly, even if it didn't go to the plan. I tell you this because even when you are dating, many relationships fail, right, by common society standards. They fail, people break up, people get divorced. But that doesn't mean that you cannot be happy that you experienced that. That doesn't mean that you cannot be glad at the end of your life that you had that experience, that you love someone, that you care for someone, that you created a family. You can still be proud and glad and know that it was worth to having experienced that, even if it didn't go exactly how you were thinking was going to go. So I want to do this exercise quickly. Let's zoom out a moment and imagine that you are 85, 90 years old. You are looking back to your life and you are thinking back to all the things that you experienced, to all the things that you tried, all the things and all the dreams that you went after. What do you think you will be proud that you tried? And here, I don't want you to think about what worked. I don't want you to think about what succeeded. I actually want you to think about what you went for. I want you to think about those things that you are simply proud and happy that you tried, that you gave a chance, that you went for it, even if it didn't have the perfect outcomes. Because here's what I know. We are all so focused on failure, right? And we are all so scared of failing. But we forget that the bigger fear is not failure, it's regret. It's getting to the end of your life and regretting not having started, playing small and not being bolder with your life, and waiting too long to go for the things that matter to you, waiting too long to take a chance on the things that you want to try, on the things that you want to experience, on the things that you want to live. The real risk of life is not failing at it or failing at anything. The real risk we all have is becoming someone who keeps saying, I wish I had tried. I wish I had gone for this. I wish I had taken the chance. That's the real risk. And the thing we don't talk about is that starts becoming an identity too. That starts becoming a habit too. The waiting, the hesitating, the procrastination, the overthinking, over planning, over researching everything and never actually taking action. That start becoming who you are the more you do it. So you have to change the pattern. You have to move. You have to change the direction if you are stuck in this cycle. So what will happen if you change the goal? If instead of being focused on outcomes, you're starting focusing on the opportunities, in the possibilities, in the shots that you take. What will happen if you start focusing on taking more shots at anything that you want in your life? Because the truth is that winning at something, having the perfect outcome, having the perfect results, you cannot control that 100%. But the shots, how many attempts, how many tries, how many chances you take on something, that you can control, that you have power over. How many times you try something, how many shots you take at something, that is in your control. That is in your power. Whether it's posting the video, you can always post more. Whether it's sending the message, you can send more. Whether it's making the offer, you can make more. Whether it's starting a business, you can start more. You can start different businesses. Whether it's writing the book, even if it doesn't work, you can write more books. You can write more articles. Whether it's trying the thing, whatever the thing is, you can try more. That's the beauty of it, that just because something doesn't resolve perfectly the first time doesn't mean that you cannot continue trying at it. That doesn't mean that you cannot continue taking shots. Because here's the thing, you don't build confidence or motivation or discipline or consistency just by winning. You build the confidence, the consistency, the person you want to become, the identity, the discipline that you want to have in your life. You build all of those by showing up over and over again. You build all of those by showing up and maybe failing, maybe winning, but then continue to show up and do it again. Do it repetitively. So here is a simple framework you can use for any time you feel stuck in overthinking. Step 1, I want you to pause. Whenever you are overthinking all the things that could happen, all the results that you could get, all the plans and the things that you need to prepare beforehand. Whenever you are in that cycle of overthinking and over-preparing, I want you to pause, interrupt the pattern, literally say to yourself, thinking this right now, and say it out loud. That will help you create a space. Then step number 2, I want you to shift your focus. Instead of thinking about all the possible scenarios in your mind, I want you to shift your focus and ask yourself a better question. What I'm actually afraid of if I do this, if I try this thing that I want to try. Then I want you to ask yourself, what is the smallest step I can take? That person that I want to become, what does that person do every day? And then what is the smallest step I can take to become that person, to be more like that person? And then the last one, I want you to shut down the overthinking by asking yourself, will I regret not trying this? Even if I fail, even if the outcomes were not perfect, will I regret not trying this? Will I regret not having given myself the chance? Am I fair ready to finish? I want you to ask yourself, what will my future self thank me for doing today, for starting today, for trying today? Then I want you to do step number 3, take action. It doesn't need to be the perfect action. It doesn't need to be a big action. Just take one small, imperfect action. Right now, wherever you are, in that moment that you're overthinking, pause, say to yourself, I'm overthinking this right now. Then shift your focus, ask yourself what I'm really afraid of. What is the smallest step I can take? What will I be proud that I did, even if I fail? And then take a a micro action towards that goal, towards that identity, towards that person that you want to become. It doesn't need to be the perfect action. It doesn't need to be the perfect version. It just needs to be real, the real version. Record the messy video, send the cheaty draft, start before you are ready. And every day, continue to start before you're ready. Because here's the truth. Action is what breaks this cycle of overthinking. Not the perfect clarity, not the research or the thinking or the preparing consistently, continually, but taking action. There is a quote by Rumi that I love that says, as you walk the path starts to appear. So this belief that we need to wait for clarity is totally misconceived. You take action and that gives you more clarity. And then you take another step and that starts to show you the path and the way. But it's never just, you are never clear or fully clear before you do something. You just do things and that gives you more clarity on what you want, on what the things that you want to accomplish, on the things that matter to you. But that happens after the action. This is a simple reminder. You don't need to become fearless. You don't need to become someone who is never afraid. You need to become someone who acts with the fear, who takes action even when they're afraid. Someone who says, I don't feel ready, but I'm doing it anyways. That's where everything changes. I'll leave you with this. At the end of your life, you won't be counting how many times you fail. You won't be thinking back to all the failures that you have, all the mistakes that you make. At the end of your life, you will be thinking all the things that you try, all the things that you experience, all the things that you live through. You will be remembering what you gave yourself the chance to go for, what you experienced, what you actually went for, what you tried. So instead of building a life full of, I wish I have tried, start building a life where you can say, I am so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I tried this. I'm so glad that I gave it my all. I'm so glad that I was bolder with my life, even if it was not perfect. Take the shot, take the opportunity, create the possibilities, and go for it. For whatever that is the thing that you keep thinking about that you want to do. Go for it. That's how your life change. And that's how you change. So if this resonated with you today, and there's something that you have been thinking for a while that you want to do, I want you to choose one thing, just one. Don't choose all these goals. Just choose one thing that you have been overthinking. Choose one thing that you have been thinking that you want to try. And then start taking small micro actions that align with that every day, consistently. I promise that will change your life. Thank you for listening or watching to something that I know have the power to change your life. I'm honored to have you here. I will see you next week in the next episode. Bye-bye.